Hi, welcome to the Business of Business podcast. That's what it's called on Google Classroom. My name is Carter Lewis.
I'm Milan Patel.
And we are future marketing leaders talking about some past scandals and how they had an effect on the company. So, Dr. C, I really hope you enjoy this podcast because we're going to get in depth about what we're going to talk about. Number one, we have the Enron scandal, which happened in 2001. This was considered one of the most famous scandals of all time. And they used a variety of irregular procedures, which made it difficult to work out how the company was making money. So all these people were like, how do you make money? I have no idea. And apparently, they discovered that Enron was hiding billions of dollars in liabilities through special purpose entities or companies that it controlled, which made it appear profitable, appear that the company was doing well, but in reality, they were doing terrible. So, Mon, how do you feel about this?
That's a pretty big scandal.
It's a huge
If
scandal.
a company was holding over like $1 billion of just in liabilities, and they're holding it through different companies, then obviously like it's gonna affect the company greatly. And then after doing a little bit of research, I saw that the price fell. So like the stock price was listed at $90.56, and it dropped horribly, and it was one of the biggest bankruptcies in history. Because obviously, if you find out something that goes from about $1 billion down to like close to bankruptcy, it's going to be obviously one of the biggest bankruptcies.
I agree. I think that like the short term look of this is that they lost their stock market went from $90 a stock to less than $1 a stock. Like that is an insane amount of drop, and that's only the short term. I feel like the long term is that the public really lost their trust in the company, and they didn't want to do any business with the company ever again, which is what led it.
Because when you hear Enron's names anymore, I haven't even heard Enron.
Did you even know what that was when you looked that up?
No.
I didn't either. Like Enron, that sounds like I don't even know. That sounds stupid. What do you think would have been the most appropriate response that the company could have done to try to save their company?
To save the company, they could have not have saved $1 billion and tried hiding it and hiding all their troubles, right? They could have easily just come out with it and they would have been fine.
Yeah, after the scandal, they tried to apologize to the public, and that's what I would do. But really, when you're in that position, you can't really do anything else. You can fire the people who did it in the first place, but
it's the whole company at that point.
But then the whole company is just downhill at that point. What were you saying?
So different alternative responses that could have been done legally. They could have just not have done it at all, right?
Yeah.
And then their legal responses was they came bankrupt and their probably reputations are on the line.
They could have just legally shown that they were not making money and then asked their stockholders or hired new business executives to try and save the company other than just try to hide that it wasn't making money, because obviously they're going to find out eventually.
Yeah.
So I think we're ready to move on to the next scandal. The next scandal is the Volkswagen emissions scandal in 2015. And as you know, every few years you have to go and get your emissions tested. I had to get mine very recently. And the scandal was that Volkswagen put devices into their diesel cars, which included software that would detect when the cars were undergoing laboratory testing and turn on controls to reduce nitrogen emissions. So that is a big no-no in the marketing.
This actually happened in 2015, and it's still remembered. I still remember it because I remember that I had to go with my dad to go to emissions test, and this came out, the Volkswagen, and then so it wasn't a good look, especially because at that time Volkswagen wasn't a very good company. It hasn't grown as much as it has today.
Do you own a Volkswagen?
No.
I don't either, and I think anyone who owns a Volkswagen, I do not want to be friends with you, because that is a gross car company.
And so the most appropriate response they could have done is basically they could have not cheated the emissions test, right?
Yeah.
And then legally what could have happened was that legally what did happen was, and they almost got bankrupt, and then they lost a bunch of money and they lost their reputations.
Yeah, I think compared to the Enron scandal, Volkswagen didn't completely go bankrupt. They're still around today. And what I would have done, some alternative responses based on legal responsibilities and employer policies. I would say that they needed to apologize to the public immediately, legally make sure that they're not doing anything wrong going forward, and take all of these scandalous devices out of all their cars. Like say, okay, I apologize, we did this wrong, and we're gonna fix it by changing the 11 million cars that were affected by
Well,
this.
then again, then also people, as me having a people job, people are gonna get mad. At least 9 million out of those 11 million people are gonna get mad. They have to come back and do the emissions test again.
Exactly.
Because people have a 9 to 5 job, and then the emissions test closes at 5, so they're gonna take time out of their job like they did for the first time.
Exactly.
So.
And that's very annoying to take the time out of your day to go and get an emissions test for a second time. That is just.
Yeah.
Any alternative responses based on personal or professional ethical responsibilities, Milan?
No, again, that's just my personal response is that they could have easily just not faked the test and then in the beginning they could just made the cars better. And if it wasn't ready, then don't release it, because I know Tesla, I'm a fanboy for that company.
Yeah, he's loves Tesla so much. Yeah.
So like they don't have to worry about emissions tests, and they don't even like have to worry about anything like that. And Elon Musk, the CEO, makes sure everything's good before he releases it, which is why the Cybertruck hasn't been released yet, because he's still making sure everything's good with it.
There you go. I think definitely if they invested more money into developing better emissions for their cars, then they wouldn't have to even cheat in the first place.
Yeah, and then their shares dropped from $17,000 to $10,000, $9,000. So it wasn't as big as the Enron scandal, like shares wise, but it still was a pretty big deal.
All right, next one.
The final one we're gonna do.
Oh no, we need to do two more.
Two more.
Two more, and then we'll be good, Dr. T. But right now we're going to talk about the Uber scandal. So, Milan, if you could just give us a quick summary of the Uber scandal.
So as you know, Uber is a company that hires drivers. They mainly do background checks. They hire drivers to take you place to place and replace for taxis. But in the past couple of years, there's been multiple accusations of sexual harassment that has occurred, and it's stop at nothing, and it was a stop at nothing kind of approach extension, right? So then, however, the accusations regarding Uber's culture about the sexual harassment led to become one of the biggest scandals by the CEO, and that the allegations included complaints that the senior members of staff had made sexist jokes, and they even visited a brother in Seal.
A brothel.
A brothel,
Seattle,
yeah.
Which is like I believe that is a sexual club that you can join with some illegal things going on. So that definitely did not give Uber a good image.
Yes.
So that was one of the biggest scandals, and that only happened 3 years ago. So what do you think about that
one? As I said, I personally don't take Uber because I personally like driving, but those people that again work those 9 to 5 jobs that need the transportation, or that need to have their kids transfer place to place, that use Uber, obviously they feel like a teenage lady, and then you take Uber and then you get sexually assaulted or harassed.
And I definitely think a lot of people use Uber when they're drinking and they need a ride home, and definitely it's very easy to take advantage of someone if you're someone who wants to sexually assault someone, and someone who's drunk gets in your car like it's an opportunity. So I feel like that the users really didn't feel like Uber had to put in place to protect the people in the car, and so that's another reason why they got in hot water. They didn't think that they were doing enough. So I feel like the short term was outrage, and everyone was like, oh, ban Uber, don't use Uber. But then the long-term effect is the company realized that they needed to make change. And they did make change when the company brought in a new CEO.
Of course, that CEO did get fired after allegations.
Yeah, the old CEO got fired, yeah.
And all the senior staff members. Everyone else involved probably got fired.
And then they brought in a new CEO to clean up its image and create a new culture. And their
shares dropped from, it was 45. It was like 45 minutes. It was 45 per share, and then it dropped a lot. So.
Yep. So, what would you say that the most appropriate response on legal considerations?
So, the most appropriate response is just to sue the guy. So, if anyone has personally been harassed by him, then sue him. Mm-hmm. And then that's like the most legal response. And then, of course, fire the CEO.
Yeah.
And then the alternate responses to the situation. Again, there's really none, just fire him or sue him. And then based on personal ethics, me personally, again, if I was in that situation where I was getting harassed, and again, I'll sue him until something happens. I won't stop until, me personally, I don't stop until the job's done. I won't stop until I get what I want, basically, no matter what the cost is. Unless it's killing somebody, right? But
yeah, that would, I don't know if that's ever happened
Yeah,
before, but that would also be a very bad. I think legally, the right thing to do is to fire anyone who was involved in the scandal, especially like the CEO got fired. That was the right thing that they need to do. But they need to put in place in the app, like there needs to be like a button you can click to call 911 very fast, and they did not have that to begin with, and they have more precautions now. And then personally, I feel like they just need to be more understanding and just try to make everything safer. And I know recently they did make it mandatory to have masks on in their cars, which is one of the first companies to do that, to make it mandatory for masks. So they did that, and I think that's a very big like flip from where they were to where they are now.
So the next scandal we're gonna be looking at is the Apple scandal. So the Apple scandal started when Reddit's a place where like you can chat and then you learn about stuff.
Yep.
Reported a software update that reduced the performance of the iPhone, basically with the battery. So the biggest problem right now with the iPhone, the most common problem is the battery. The battery dies or just the camera.
Yes, my battery sucks. Does your battery suck?
No, because
he has a new phone. I have an older phone, and my battery doesn't even last the entire day.
So with people were obviously upgrading like crazy, but still some issues are occurring with the battery. So some guy named Tim Cook issues a statement about his battery and about the software issue, confirming that the software is designed to throttle performance, and basically unexpected shutdowns.
Yeah.
Too high people start upgrading, right?
Yeah, so I mean their main goal was to slow down the iPhone that you have right now and then to buy a new one. So they just wanted to do this to make more, and they did not ask any users to do this. They just did it by themselves, and that's what everyone got mad at. So the short-term consequence was that everyone was upset and they wanted an answer, and no one really like boycotted Apple just because I would say Apple arguably has a monopoly on the phone industry.
Oh yeah,
Android sucks. No one wants an Android.
Yeah, if you have an Android, then go ahead and go buy an Apple.
And in our generation, if you have an Android, you're weird and no one wants to be friends with you. But
so the next scandal we're gonna be looking at. Oh no, we gotta answer those questions.
We gotta answer those questions. This is our last one.
All right. So the final two questions are some alternate responses to the situation. So legally, what I would have done if I was having that issue is based on. So this is a legal operation, right?
I mean, there were lawsuits to try to get this in. So legally, you have to fight these lawsuits.
But personally, the next question is personally. If I had an issue with
you didn't
that,
answer the one legally. So what would you do legally?
Oh, legally, I'd just sue them.
You would sue who?
Apple, as a company.
So if you were a user, you would sue Apple?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then personally, if I was a user and I upgraded because of performance issues, I would ask for my refund back.
You would. And there's been a new development in this case, and Apple has lost a lawsuit, and they have to pay over $113 million to settle iPhone Batterygate. That's what it is nicknamed, the Batterygate. So that is the long-term consequence, is the Batterygate. So then some personal or professional ethical responsibilities. I would say they lied to their customers, so I feel like that they need to really apologize and maybe ask the user if they really want their iPhone slowed down or to have better performance, which is what they were doing before. So they need to ask like if they actually wanted to do that. And
Yeah,
that's about it.
Thank
you
for watching our podcast.
No, yeah, thank you very much. I hope you give us 40 points, and
You have a good one.
you have a good one. See you, Dr. T. Bye.